Others were more successful, dodging the heavily thrusted, rapidly spinning bayonets and applying their scorching hands the chests and faces of the elite Xuvian soldiers. They charred visors, armor and flesh, causing some to catch alight. Periodically, an intense Xuvian scream of agony would emanate out over the battlefield to be heard clearly over the surrounding chaos for a few seconds. Arajakal's pain was almost unbearable, and his situation was worsening. 3 more skillfully and magically assisted aimed shots hurtled through where the trailing part of his form had just vacated. The Master of Burning had no desire to exhaust the level of magical energy that his next spell required. "What choice do I have?" he thought. Carter was zealously taking his point of aim on the cloud when it cycled in color from its purplish hue through saffron, then lemon, then white. Upon the completion of Arajakal's spell, the sun seemed to suddenly engulf the sky with phosphorescent brilliance. There was no actual pain, but all that the Xuvian brigadier and his men could see was a solid neon white glow. Arajakal flew to the ground and rapidly assumed his human state so that he could heal with magic. Carter caused himself to hover on the spot with the power of his flight spell. He then uttered a counterspell intended to free him from the effects of the bleaching radiance spell of his opponent. Weak from his mortal injuries, Arajakal held his luminous orange orb in his left hand and the palm of his right over his wounds. There were 3 bullet holes in his left shin and calf and 3 in his right side. They did not cause normal entry and exit wounding because of the mode that Arajakal was in when he was shot. Instead, they were clean perforations. As he focused his elemental magic, the orb glowed, and the wound below his hand steadily closed and healed amidst the modest ribbons of lime-colored smoke that rose from them. Breathing easier after repairing the 2 most critical wounds, Arajakal took a sweeping glance around to see where his assailant had flown. He noted in that brief glimpse that the Xuvian occult operations commander was no more than 80 meters away and still hovering about 25 meters above the ground. Ilromem drenchai torusarenem ochumde. Carter concluded his counter-magic spell and found that he could almost see clearly. It was like looking at the area near the sun through lightly frosted glass. The experienced war magician raised Ansara to his shoulder, and through the precision sights he saw that his quarry was grasping his glowing object of focus and indicating his direction. With the bleaching radiance spell came the beginning of the end for most of XRA. It did not affect any of Arajakal's children, as they had adopted elements of the magic that he used in their spirit. The fanatically charged flame magicians burned and melted most of their blinded foes, while they stumbled and tried, as futile as it was, to defend themselves. The main body of troops, still hundreds of meters from the action, were also affected by Arajakal's powerful magic. The war magicians there used their talent to conjure trenches into the earth. After casting, a deep and impossibly neat trench would open up before them. They could direct it as it lengthened. What remained of the disciples were charging at an incredible pace in their direction, leaving a burned and broken attack force in their wake. Some of the war magicians were casting low-level forms of anti-magic to all.